Otsuka's PTSD drug rejection, risks and lessons in psychiatric pharmaceuticals. In July 2025, Otsuka Holdings encountered a significant hurdle when the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's, FDA, Psychopharmacologic Drugs Advisory Committee, PDAC, voted 10-1 against approving its application for Rexulti, brexpiprazole, in conjunction with sertraline for the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. This decisive rejection underscored the FDA's doubts regarding the drug's effectiveness, pointing to discordant results from the clinical trials conducted. For Otsuka, a company that has historically relied on its psychiatric drug portfolio for substantial revenue, this setback raises important concerns about the inherent risks associated with high-stakes psychiatric drug development, particularly in the later stages. The PTSD application, a high-stakes gamble. Otsuka's application for PTSD treatment was promoted as a potential game-changer, representing the first new pharmacological option for this condition in over 20 years. The data submitted included results from 3 trials, 2 Phase 3 studies and 1 Phase 2 trial. While one of the Phase 3 trials, Study 071, demonstrated statistically significant improvements in PTSD symptoms, the other, Study 072, did not achieve its primary endpoint. The FDA took note of these discrepancies, with reviewers characterizing Study 072 as clearly and convincingly a negative study. The rejection from the PDAC highlights a stark reality in the realm of psychiatric drug development. The FDA requires robust and consistent evidence of efficacy, especially for conditions that have limited treatment options available. For Otsuka, this means that the over $200 million investment in the PTSD application for Rexulti may not yield any returns in the near future. The company now faces a critical decision: either resubmit the application with additional data, which would be both costly and time-consuming, or shift its focus to other therapeutic areas. Financial resilience amid uncertainty. Despite the setback with the PTSD application, Otsuka's financial performance in the first quarter of 2025 indicates a company in a strong position. The revenue increased by 12.2% year-over-year, reaching 582.8 billion yen, largely driven by its pharmaceutical segment, which experienced a 16.2% growth. Key products such as Abilify Maintena and Rexulti continue to be significant revenue generators, with Abilify alone bringing in 400 billion yen in sales in 2022, showcasing Otsuka's solid foothold in the psychiatric market. Even with the disappointment regarding PTSD, Otsuka's diverse pipeline serves as a protective buffer. The company's research and development strategy encompasses various fields, including psychiatry, cardiovascular health, and oncology, with 12 compounds currently in Phase 3 trials as of March 2025. These include ulotaront, targeting schizophrenia, sibeprenlimab, for IgA nephropathy, and delamanid, for tuberculosis. This wide-ranging approach lessens the dependency on any single product and helps mitigate the risk of a significant revenue decline. Strategic risks in a high-pressure sector. The psychiatric drug market is fraught with challenges. Unlike oncology, where clear endpoints can be established through biomarkers and survival metrics, psychiatric trials often depend on subjective assessments, such as the clinician-administered PTSD scale, CAPS-5. This subjectivity can lead to mixed results, as evidenced by Otsuka's PTSD trials. Additionally, antipsychotic medications like brexpiprazole are associated with long-term risks, including weight gain and movement disorders, which have been closely scrutinized by the FDA and advisory committees. Otsuka's substantial investment in neuroscience also makes it vulnerable to regulatory and market fluctuations. For instance, the recent rejection of MDMA-assisted therapy for PTSD in 2024 highlights the FDA's cautious approach to innovative mental health treatments. Should Otsuka's PTSD application ultimately be denied, the company could suffer reputational harm and face skepticism from investors, especially if its pipeline lacks imminent approvals. The path forward: diversification as a lifeline. How Otsuka responds to the PTSD setback will be crucial for its future. The company has already indicated its intention to collaborate with the FDA, but resubmitting the application without addressing the inconsistencies in the trials could prove to be a risky endeavor. A more prudent strategy might involve reallocating research and development resources toward other late-stage candidates, such as sibeprenlimab for IgA nephropathy, which is already under review for approval in the US, or ulotaront for schizophrenia. Moreover, Otsuka's collaborative model offers a safety net. Partnerships with companies like Sumitomo Pharma, Ionis Pharmaceuticals, and Esperion Therapeutics have broadened its pipeline without overextending internal resources. For example, the licensing agreement for ION 363, ulefnersen, for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, utilizes Ionis antisense technology, thereby alleviating some of Otsuka's research and development burdens. Investment implications. For investors, Otsuka's current situation presents a blend of risks and opportunities. On one hand, the company's dependence on psychiatric drugs, a sector that is susceptible to regulatory and clinical challenges, poses a long-term threat. On the other hand, its diversified pipeline and strong cash flow position it well to navigate short-term difficulties. The pivotal question remains whether Otsuka can effectively balance its focus on high-risk, high-reward projects, such as the PTSD application, with more stable growth areas, like IgA nephropathy and tuberculosis. If the company continues to heavily invest in psychiatric drugs, its stock may become a volatile asset. Conversely, if it capitalizes on its partnerships and shifts its focus toward its more promising cardiovascular and oncology candidates, it could emerge as a resilient long-term investment. Conclusion. The stalled PTSD application from Otsuka serves as a cautionary tale for pharmaceutical companies pursuing blockbuster psychiatric drugs. While the company's financial health and pipeline suggest it can endure this setback, the overarching lesson is evident: an over-reliance on high-risk, late-stage projects in a subjective and heavily regulated sector is a precarious strategy. For Otsuka, the way forward will require a careful balance between innovation and caution, a challenge that will ultimately shape its success in the coming years. Investors should keep a close eye on how the company navigates this critical juncture, as the outcomes could significantly influence its trajectory for decades to come.